From the kitchen of the cabin, it's the 5 Games for Doomsday review.
Darwinning. The beauty of originality is there is nothing to compare you to. I've spoken about originality here, how it doesn't really exist, how everything, no matter how revolutionary, how groundbreaking, is built on top of the foundations of those that came before. Originality is simply a trick of the light, an appearance of being rootless and wholly new, and that appearance is enough to convince us that it's two faces, when in fact it's a vase. If a creator can trick us into thinking what they've done is new, and that is a hell of a trick, they become unfettered by comparison. The "it's not as good as" ceases to be a factor, and their work can stand on its own. Or you could try and put a bonnet on the Mona Lisa. Take a tried and tested trope and attempt to reinvigorate it. Try to take a familiarity and reinvent it for today. Strip an idea of its old and cracked leather and reupholster it with that lovely William Morris stuff you got from Laura Ashley. This approach makes a lot of sense. The foundations are already there, but also the integrity of the structure, and you're just whacking on a lick of paint. There's a lot less hod carrying and spirit level usage, but you leave yourself dangerously open to comparison. For an idea to stick in the collective consciousness, there has to be an iteration of it that's great. And to try and iterate on that trope, you'll be forever compared to that platonic exemplar. If you try and climb to that great height, there's a lot further to fall. Darwinning is a trick-taking game. Through this, it seeks to model the process of evolution and is a game brimming with aspiration that is handicapped by a criminal misunderstanding of when a thing is finished. Players assume the role of a nascent species attempting to garner a foothold on the planet. They are dealt a hand of 10 cards with which they play tricks. Tricks are won by playing single cards, or a combination of cards that can be played any time they beat a previously played combination, and these follow a basic poker structure. Single, pair, straight, flush, and so on. The winner of the trick is then able to take one of the played cards and adapt their species. This can take the form of adapting to new terrains, scrambling up the food chain, or developing physical characteristics that help the animal to deal with a life that is nasty, brutish, and short. The game is played over 3 eras, with the end of each era punctuated with a survival phase where players feed and adjust their population accordingly. After 3 eras, points are calculated and the species with the most points wins. Darwinning attempts to build an extension and a patio onto the trick-taking game, and by putting in so much, it takes so much out. This is a Kickstarter game, and in almost every aspect of that harkens back to the bad old days where the word Kickstarter was a pejorative. The game feels incomplete. It feels like a core idea that undeveloped was taken into production. This is a game that is, at best, 80% done, and as a result loses all of the tension and ragged edge decision making that comes with a trick-taking game. Winning combinations can be usurped by any other better winning combination, and there are so many cards in the deck that players have no idea what is good or bad or potentially victorious, so the initial elation or disappointment when fanning open your cards for the first time is completely absent. You play cards trying to win with absolutely no expectations, and confounded expectations are the heart of trick-taking games. Playing that surefire card only for another player to stamp all over it is what makes these games great. Darwinning is just a dull promenade to the end in which you don't invest yourself at all. This game is utterly unrefined, not in a shabby chic Mickey Rourke in Angel Heart way, but in a who's shit in the punch bowl way. This game feels halfway done. There are a plethora of powers that require constant dipping into the rulebook, and none of them feel game-breaking or powerful enough to warrant the endless arresting of the momentum. It attempts specific player powers, but these are so unbalanced between species that starting with a certain species will ensure that you remain confined to the trash heap of natural history with all the frustration and sense of injustice that implies. The only reason that people don't erupt in paroxysms of rage is that after the first lay of cards you stop caring about the outcome of the game anyway. Darwinning is half finished, from the disparate art to the disparate gameplay. It looks and plays like a prototype. And it's not a prototype without merit, but it's a prototype nevertheless. I adore trick-taking games, and would rescue my copy of Skull King from a burning building before a lot of human beings I know, so to play one that is so unfinished is disappointing, and plays perfectly into some of the criticisms that dog Kickstarter. It would be hoped that an established publishing house would exercise some critical appraisal before putting out a game. I love The Familiar. I love The Big Lebowski because it is a film noir, and The Seven Samurai because it is a western. They take classic tropes and bend them to new and delightful ends. Darwinning tries to, and through an abundance of ideas and a dearth of refinement, leaves me hankering for something better, for the platonic ideal. It is possible to be swamped by the tyranny of comparison, and Darwinning, well, it's never getting out of that swamp. This review was made possible by the support of my patrons at patreon.com/5G4D. Thank you for listening.